They are doing the worst job on a hurricane that any administration has ever done. Kamala has done the worst job, and it's really like her because she was put in charge. If you watched over the last couple of days, they are doing, this is a Katrina for them. This is one of the worst. They say it's the worst job ever done on helping people through the ravages of a hurricane. This is the worst response to a storm or a catastrophe or a hurricane that we've ever seen, ever. Probably worse than Katrina, and that's hard to beat, right? Worse than Katrina. They didn't do too good a job either, but this is worse. And she sends their money to foreign nations. He and she, they send hundreds of billions of dollars. They send hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign nations. And you know what they're giving our people? $750.
Everything you heard there was a lie.
Yeah.
Everything you heard there was wrong. And I was on the ground just about every day after Hurricane Katrina. I can tell you there is no comparison, Mika. No comparison, because the government didn't come for quite some time after Hurricane Katrina.
And that...
And in this case, you have Republican leaders saying that Donald Trump's lying, that things are... The largest newspaper in North Carolina said that Donald Trump's lies are making the tragedy of Western Carolina even worse. And again, it's on Donald Trump supporters to not just swallow his lies whole, because they're toxic lies that right now are hurting the people of Western Carolina. And, you know, Brian Stelter, you played me a clip yesterday of Brian Stelter talking to a Republican congressman who said, well, people are hearing that. And Brian Stelter said, yeah, well, that's a lie. It's all a lie. And you heard Donald Trump in his lies. He goes, they're saying, who is they?
Yeah.
Russian bots may be saying that.
Or him. Just
he
him.
may be saying that. People echoing his lies may be saying that. But again, all lies, all lies, all lies. And first of all, is the media going to call this out the way the Charlotte Observer did? Are they going to make it, well, you know, Kamala didn't do really well on her interview here. And Donald Trump, he's been lying and making matters so much worse for the people suffering through Helene and the Carolinas, and tried to flatten all of that out.
The man who tossed paper towels at victims of a disaster. So here's what the Republican governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, and Republican Senator Tom Tillis,
very conservative,
of North Carolina, had to say over the weekend about the storm response.
There's a lot of misinformation. In fact, there's some belief and understanding that may be coming from foreign sources just to confuse on the ground what's happening here. I saw a county mayor every single day with tears in their eyes, emotional, serving the people alongside their FEMA and TEMA counterparts in their EOCs. There's nothing but commitment to serving the people in this state, and those who spread that kind of misinformation, it's deeply unfortunate that that's happening.
I've lived in North Carolina for almost 30 years. I've seen a lot of storms come through this state. I'm actually impressed with how much attention was paid to a region that wasn't likely to have experienced the impact that they did. This is a new playbook for anybody who thinks that any level of government, anybody here, could have been prepared precisely for what we're dealing with here, clearly are clueless. They're doing a great job. They can always work harder. There's always kinks in the slinky. We're working them out behind the scenes, but I think we're all here to send a message that we're working together, and I'm pretty proud of the effort that's been done now.
Yeah, the conservative governor of Tennessee, very conservative governor of Tennessee, saying FEMA's doing a great job. The conservative governor of North Carolina saying the same, that they're doing a great job. Donald Trump lied. He kept lying, talked about them not helping Georgia. The governor of Georgia, again, Republican, all Republicans. I'm talking about all Republicans here, saying that their nominee for president is a liar. And as the Charlotte Observer is saying, making matters worse for the people suffering the most in North Carolina. the lies continue from Donald Trump.
Joining us now from Raleigh, North Carolina, is FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. So if you could update us on the recovery effort, are state and local officials across the board getting what they need?
Absolutely, Mika. We have over 4,500 people on the ground that have been here since before the storm made landfall, working side by side with our state counterparts in the communities with our local officials. And all I hear on the ground is gratefulness and compassion and a level of unity to make sure that we're getting people what they need. It's frankly disappointing that we're having to deal with this narrative. And the fact that there's a few leaders that are having a hard time telling the difference between fact and fiction is creating an impedance to our ability to actually get people the help they need.
Yeah, you know, we had the governor of Tennessee talk about the fact that some of this may be driven by foreign powers, lies from foreign governments to sow confusion. Republicans, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I just said presidential candidates are picking that up, and others are picking that up as well, and it is discouraging. But I want you to talk about, as Senator Tillis said, how unique this situation is. I've been through far too many hurricanes as a Florida resident. And the belief always was the hurricane, the eye hits the land, it breaks apart. And yes, you'll have some tornadoes, you'll have some flooding here or there, but nothing like what happened in Western Carolina. I've never seen this before in my life, all the years following hurricanes. Talk about the levels of destruction that you've seen, the suffering from the people of Western Carolina.
Yeah, Joe, I have led complex incidents, and this is certainly one of the most complex incidents I've seen. You know, when you talk about the hurricane and the eye and hitting landfall, you know, we can picture, you know, what happens on the coast of Florida or Louisiana when a hurricane hits, and you have all of that destruction that's very visible. But the challenge here in Appalachia is that we have all of these valleys and the topography that really generate flash floods that come so fast. And so with the rate of rainfall, the amount of rainfall, and exactly where it lands really creates a dynamic situation that moves quickly and gives people less time to get out of harm's way. And so we have roads that have been cut off. We have people that live up in the hills that now have limited access. And so us being able to ensure that we're meeting every person where they're at, delivering services, food and water to their doorstep, takes a lot of people to come in and walk those hills to make sure that we're getting to them so they don't have to figure out how to get to us. The amount of debris itself is just going to take a long time to clean up and to get this infrastructure operational so people can get back to normalcy.
Madam Administrator, as the nation still reels from that storm, another is on its way. Hurricane Milton, just a short time ago, upgraded to a Category 3 storm. It is bearing down on the Florida Gulf Coast. Can you give us an update, please, as to what people in its path should be doing and what your agency, how your agency is preparing for what could be another life-threatening storm?
Yeah, I mean, we've been watching this one very closely for several days before it even became a storm. I talked to Governor DeSantis yesterday to understand what his concerns are, and I assured him that we are moving resources in to help pre-stage them and be available, like our search and rescue assets, the Army Corps of Engineers to help with stabilization for some of the generators that might need to be installed. And what I'm hearing is that we also have a lot of people on the ground already. We have a full staff that's there supporting the response to Hurricane Helene, but we also have a full staff that's in place supporting the recovery from the previous storms. Florida's been hit the last 3 years in a row with major hurricanes, and so we've already had a lot of staff on the ground. They will reposition themselves to support this. I'm going down to Tampa this afternoon to meet with the mayor so I can better understand what her needs are as this storm comes in. But what people need to know is that there's going to be storm surge, and they need to listen to their local officials. They need to evacuate if they're told to do so, because these storms are bringing more water than they ever have. And so while we have the wind risk, it's the water is what's killing people. So please listen to your local officials. Seek safety.
FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate it. And